Well, hey guys, as you can imagine, I get a ton of questions on social media about one sticking, and a lot of them, you know, I kind of forget how far and how long we've been doing this and how many times up and down a tree that we go in a year's time. And sometimes these questions remind me that, man, I kind of need to go back and start at the basics, right? So today's video is all about one of the most common questions I get is, what's your gear list? What does it take to one stick? And I'm going to show you a couple different examples. We've given you alternative options in some of the previous videos, but today I'm going to answer that question. What does my one sticking gear list look like? Right after this. Okay, let's start off by showing you exactly what my setup looks like, because that's, you know, I get so many questions about, you know, there's so much stuff out there. What do you use, right? This is it. Obviously, this is our saddle of choice, custom made for me by TX5 Custom Gear, right? And my beloved Predator Fall Gray, my favorite pattern ever. It's ever been developed on the face of the earth. I'll have a video coming out later on about that, some point down the road. And then our Ultimate One Stick with the UP top. I do use a 12-inch stick. Get that question all the time. I pair mine with an Ultimator and the Pack and Play, again customized for me in Predator Fall Gray. But that's my setup. We'll go into each of these a little bit. In fact, let's go ahead and I don't get this question a lot. What kind of roll pouch do you use? I don't use one. Everything I use fits in a medium TX5 accessory pouch, right? Everything. So I don't see a need to use a roll pouch. If you want to, you know, fine. I find it unnecessary. So let's go over the gear real quick, and then we're going to break it down. And here's what I'm going to do in this video, guys. I'm going to show you, or tell you, explain to you exactly why I've chosen the gear that I've chosen, why I use the length of rope I use, different things like that. You know, it would be simple. It would be super simple. In fact, I've done it in PMs when I answer them. I've got a gear list. I copy and paste. Everybody that sends me that question, hey, what's your gear list? Copy, paste, send, right? Copy, paste, send. It would be easy for me to just say, here's the 5 items I use, or 4 items, or whatever. I'm going to break, this video is going to be about why have I settled on the gear I've settled. So there's my rope. You know, I'm pulling this all out of the bag with no cuts, no edits, right? People say, can you fit all that in a bag? Yeah, I mean, pretty easy. We're going to show you that here out in the woods. Madrock oval carabiner, 40-foot of Dyna-Glide with a mini carabiner, and that's it. So a medium TX5 accessory pouch on my saddle, hang it up there with the other saddles, and so here you go, guys. We're going to go through these one at a time and break them down. We're going to start here with the rope and what all's on it, okay? So I use Canyon Elite rope. I've used Oplux, Sterling Oplux. In fact, that was, you know, the original lightweight, thin diameter, high MBS, minimum breaking strength rope that was brought to the industry, right? I had a large, you know, hand in bringing that to the industry. Negotiated a contract when I was working with a company. One of the few times I've actually worked for a company in the industry. Negotiated a deal, brought that into the industry. It took the industry by storm, right? I've used Sterling Oplux to rappel with a Madrock Safeguard. It is out of spec by 0.1 millimeter, right? So it's not in spec. I've used it, I've tested it, I've rappelled off of it, I've hunted off of it. Done the same thing with Rest-Tech, right? Tuffelberger, I guess that's how you would pronounce it, Rest-Tech. I hunted for a long time off of CIV, long time. And then this year we moved to Canyon Elite, and I really like Canyon Elite because it doesn't have the memory and twist up as much as CIV. CIV seems to get a little stiff, especially if once it gets weathered. If it ever stays out in a storm or rain or anything like that, you have to leave it overnight. And I've still got all these ropes down here, guys, and I'm going to do a video in the future on rope differences, right? And I've got them because one of the great things I highly recommend if you're going to get into this, and this is your primary means of hunting, of running and gunning, and you fall in love with one sticking like we have, It's really good to have a backup rope. Here's an example. Not even, my rope didn't get wet or anything. 3 or 4 nights prior to the end of the season this year. So actually only about a week ago or so. We're just coming out of, I think tonight as I film this is January 20th, I believe. Our season just ended 4 nights ago. So about a week ago, I was hunting a food source. I had several nice bucks coming out at the very end. It was cold. You know, the rut's over with, testosterone levels are dropping, bucks are starting to congregate back up in bachelor groups. One night, about a week and a half ago, I had 9 different bucks, ages 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5 in a field in front of me. But this particular night, about 2 nights before the season ended, field was full of deer, right? And I was trying to sneak out there without disturbing them. I've done a great job of packing up super quietly, got, you know, my stick off the tree quietly, all that stuff. Got to the car, was excited about, you know, what I pulled off. The next day I'm getting ready to go back hunting and realized that, crap, my rappel rope isn't around. I forget, in my haste to, you know, be quiet and all that, I just got out of my routine. I left my rappel rope up in the tree. And so the great thing about having a backup, I grabbed another one, took off, went hunting, and then I went back to that spot after dark and got my other rappel rope out of the tree. But Canyon Elite, that's the rope we use. It's just a lot of people have kind of taken off. I used this adjective early on one time describing it, and it seems like a lot of people picked up on it. I've seen other people describe it as well. It's very supple, right? Meaning it's very flexible. It doesn't have a memory. It's almost like working with butter. It's just really smooth and doesn't twist. It doesn't kink when I'm wrapping it up. You'll see that later on. I really like the fact that you can just work with this however you want to, and it goes back to, you know, its the original form without memory, without kinking. Very flexible, very forgiving. What length do we use? I use 40 foot. And the reason I use 40 foot is probably twofold, right? 3 in a sense, but 2 main reasons. Let's go over those. One is when you throw a rope. Now, I hunt a lot of trees. I've shown pictures of this, right? That I hunt a lot of trees this big around. I'm not kidding you. I killed my January 1st buck last year, 2020. It'd been the 2020-2021 season. So January 1st, New Year's Day of last year, I killed my buck out of a tree. It wasn't that big around. And, you know, first thing you're going, how'd you hide in that? I didn't. I got high. My quick length was basically, that's how it looked like on the tree. It was like that. And I was watching it, January 1st, no leaves, no foliage on the trees, no canopy at all. I watched him come around and I saw him. I was able to get to full draw. And when he rounded a corner, you know, here a 200-pound lollipop sitting up in a tree on a stem that big around, he locked on the brakes. Fortunately, he wasn't quartering super hard. I let him have it. It was a done deal, right? But I will get in trees this big around. Now, I will also hunt in trees that big around. It's not as comfortable to climb. I'd rather have one about a volleyball to basketball size. That's my ideal tree size. But, you know, I've been in some that big around. Well, you throw a rope around a tree that big around, you're going to eat up, you know, let's just look at it here. Just a tree that big right there, you're eating up, you know, that's, my wingspan is probably close to 6 foot, right? Because your wingspan is usually equal to about your height. So that's probably about 6 foot. That means you're going to get in a tree that big around, you're eating up 6 foot of rope right there off the bat. So I want to be able to do that. Plus, your rappelling, your rope is usually head high, right? So that's another 6 foot above your platform. So if you're getting your platform to 20 foot, you know, not saying that's the magic number. I killed my largest buck 8 feet off the ground. 167 4/8. I was 8 foot off the ground because that's where the cover was that day. Okay, I got up in a bunch of vines and stuff was right behind me. But if your platform is 20 foot and your rope is around the tree at 6 foot, that's 6 foot. If you need a 6 foot diameter, now you're at 12 foot. 20 plus 12, you're at 32 already right off the bat, right? And then, so another thing that I like to do, I use my rope as a hoist rope to pull up and lower my bow. It's just a lot easier to maneuver your bow. It's a lot more comfortable to hold. Trust me, guys, I started bow hunting in 1990. I've been doing this for, 32 years. For probably up until 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago tops, that I've been, you know, saddle hunting, and I've only been one sticking a couple years now. Up until that point, I used paracord for my hoist rope, up and down. I understand using small diameter paracord ropes as a hoist rope, right? I've done it most of my life. So I'm not saying it can't be done, right? I did it for decades. But it is a lot more comfortable with this larger diameter rope. If you're pulling up your rope through tree limbs and brush and snags and stuff like that, it is a lot easier to control it. So when I say control, I'm not worried about dropping it if it's paracord. I'm talking about being able to control my bow as I'm bringing it up through all that trash, right? So I use this. I actually splice a continuous loop of Dynaglide. I show how to do that in my video, One Sticking the Details. And I slip that over my stabilizer, through my cam over a stabilizer. I have it where my fletching is sticking down toward the ground on the way up, and on the way down when I'm lowering it, I put it through the opposite cam, so my fletching is sticking up. So when it hits the ground, my nocks and fletching and all that stuff is up, and then I'll lay it gently off to the side. But I use this to raise and lower my bow, and the great thing about having a little bit of excess length is I'm able to swing my bow gently off to the side, lay it off 3 or 4 foot off to the side, and then still go ahead and drop the rest of the rappel line, and it will stay off straight below the tree, right? So my bow's off 4 or 5 foot to the right or left, whichever side I swing it to, but it's off to the side, and then I still have rope coming straight down to the bottom of the tree. Then I can rappel back and not worry about landing on my bow. And you're like, well, who would do that? My son. One night, I was having fun, and he was actually, I don't know how he ended up at the base of my tree that night. Usually it's the other way around. And I was having fun, and I was just playing Batman, right? And I was burning down. And, stopped myself right at the ground. I was having fun. And so he got the bright idea to, that looks like fun. I think I want to do it tomorrow night. Well, he did. The problem is he didn't swing his bow off to the side, and he didn't look before he leapt. So, key lesson here, look before you leap, because he burned down and he hit a little harder than Daddy did the night before and landed right on his quiver, smashed his hood, broke it to pieces. Fortunately, he didn't know. It was right before Christmas. I got him a brand new bow. It's actually this one right here. Brand new bow was already under the tree, and so not a huge deal. New quiver and all that, but I was like, really? I mean, so it is nice to be able to put your bow out of the way, right? So those are the two primary reasons. Here's another one. Occasionally we hunt a huge national forest. Huge ridges, draws, ravines, steep angles coming up to a ridge a lot of times. Large trees, old growth, mature timber, right? Huge national forest. Deer travel those ridge tops a lot of times, right? Sometimes they might travel the military crest. I get it. I understand all that. But what if you want to hunt that ridge top, right? But yet there's not a tree, and some of these ridges are narrow. There's just a trail that you can tell the game animals have walked up and down it. And to get off that ridge, to be on the downwind side of that ridge, you've actually got to walk down 10 or 15, 20 foot to find a tree that you can climb to be on the downwind side of the ridge that day. Well, you're already starting at a deficit of 10 or 15 or 20 foot, and you want to go up and climb and get above the line of sight of that ridge for any animal to walk down. You're not just sitting there eyeballing him. You want to be above him and have a 10 or 15 foot shot downward. You need 40 foot, and if you don't have 40 foot, you're not climbing up above it, right? So, and then here's the last thought about why I use 40 foot. If I had 30 foot of rope, 35, right? The difference between 30 or 35 foot and 40 is probably a couple ounces at best, okay? You've already seen this 40 foot fits easily into my accessory dump pouch that I've got from TX5. It doesn't matter if it's 30, 35, or 40, it fits in there easy. So I'm not costing myself any weight to speak of, a couple ounces. I mean, one less glass of water that day is, really. And I'm not losing any room, because 30, 35, 40 doesn't matter. It's all fitting in the dump pouch. That's why we go with 40. Okay, so that's it on the ropes. What you've seen the other end is the splice continuous Dynaglide that I do to raise and lower my bow. What I put on the business end, if you want to look at it that way, it is a Petzl quick link, and I use an oval quick link. People ask me sometimes, do you use a delta link? I don't. I'm not saying they're not, won't work as well, not as efficient, whatever. Here's my reasoning. You're going to have 2 points pulling from that, right? When you close this down and it goes around the tree, you're going to have 2 points. I need 2 contact points, 2 ends. I don't see the need to have 3 points in a triangle in a delta link for 2 pull points. That's just simply my reasoning. Why do you use an oval versus a delta? That's it. I see no reason to have a delta when it's that, okay? Here's my other thoughts on an oval quick link. This is a Petzl quick link. We will leave a description, a link down below where you can order this off Amazon. I've got 6 of them, I believe. I think I've got 6 ropes total. I've got 6 of these I bought. I will leave you the exact link to buy the exact same one that I use. It's $9, right? Don't cheap out and go to Home Depot or Tractor Supply or Ace Hardware and buy one of those. I mean, does it look exactly the same? Yeah. Will it probably do the exact same job? It might. I have peace of mind knowing this one is climbing rated and I'm coming back to my family every single night, right? So, you know, I've also heard this, that when people put pressure on these screws, right? Some of those are nickel plated that you would buy from a hardware store. This one is solid steel. I've never had a problem screwing or unscrewing this gate, this locking thread, no matter what kind of pressure I've got on it. I've had several PMs from people who have bought quick links at other sources, and they go, "What's wrong with my quick link?" And I'm like, "Well, where'd you buy it from?" You know, and they've had trouble with it locking up and not screwing on and off like that. So it's $9, guys. But buy the one from Petzl. It's climbing rated. Okay. I have a video on how to do a scaffold knot. It's in the One Sticking the Details. And then we choose as our tether locker the Flexi Ohm from Innovating the Outdoors. So again, going over all the gear, this is the tether locker we use. I actually have a video again on tether lockers, why they're important. And just really quickly, when you're climbing a tree and you put this up at about head high, as you're kind of getting ready to grab your stick or whatever, because this is not girth hitched on there, okay, or something like that, this quick link has a tendency to want to fall down the tree easily. So what we do is we use a tether locker to support that quick link so it won't fall down the tree, right? And that kind of raises another, well, why do you even use a quick link, Greg? Well, if you're going to climb a telephone pole every single time like you would a climber, you don't need a quick link. You could girth hitch this or do a figure eight on a follow through, or even buy a sewn eye and thread all that 40 foot through that, right? And just move it up as you went. What happens when you come to your first limb though, that you need to go up and about? Are you going to pull through 40 foot, move it above the line, and feed 40 foot back through? I mean, that's a little ridiculous, right? The quick link makes it super simple to unscrew, remove well, first of all, obviously you're going to put your lineman belt on. People ask me all the time, how do you go around a limb? Just like you would if you were climbing with 4 sticks, right? You would affix or attach your lineman belt. I carry mine, you've seen it, I carry mine daisy chained off on my left hip, right? Right on that lineman belt loop, okay? And if you haven't seen it, here it is. So, this is my lineman belt daisy chained onto my left lineman belt loop. And it stays like this when I'm walking into the woods, when I'm hunting, when I'm walking out of the woods. It stays like this all the time. This is from my last hunting trip, okay? But when I get ready to use it, I unhook it, throw it around the tree, make sure I'm supported really well. Then I take the quick link, unscrew it, move it around and above the limb, screw it back, lean my weight into it, undo my lineman belt, and continue going up. Okay, that's why we use a quick link versus girth hitching on a figure eight on a follow through or something like that. Final thought, sometimes people will go, well, why can't you just use a carabiner? I've got 15 or 20 of them hanging over there like I do right now, right? You possibly could, and that opens up a huge can of worms, right? You ask a question on a saddle hunting forum, why can't you just use a carabiner instead of a quick link? You'll probably have a 35-page thread going with all kinds of responses all over the board talking about side loading, right? Are you side loading the carabiner? Are you not? Some people say yes, some people say no. You know, I don't know. But I know this, when I get on a tree this big around, that I get in a lot, okay? And you guys have seen the pictures where that literally is the whole width of the tree, okay? I guarantee you, you're probably coming really close to side loading that carabiner on a tree that big around. On a tree this big around? Yeah, probably not, okay? I hunt a lot of small trees. I want the option to get in a small tree. Even if I don't plan on it, if I get to a spot, I'm like, that's the tree I need to be in, and it's this big around, I don't have to worry about it with that, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. That's a lot on a rope and a tether locker and a quick link. But let's talk about it. It's 3 items here. What's my gear list? Rope, quick link, and a tether locker. Those 3, okay? How do you get your rope out of the tree? Moving on to the next piece of gear. It's 2 things. It's a 40-foot piece of Dyna-Glide and a mini carabiner. I've got a video on this. How do you splice? How does that look so cool that it's spliced on there? Now this one has been used probably 300 times. It was from last year. It's made it through this year. It's made it through multiple demos and practice sessions and explanations and videos. This one's getting a little bit worn, but it's still on there good. But I've got a video on how to splice Dynaglide onto a mini carabiner. It's 40 foot because, again, I've got a video how to get a rappel rope easily out of a tree. You want to be able to back up. If your tree's like this, straight up and down, it makes it a lot easier to walk out at an angle and pull from an angle to get your rappel rope. It just breaks free a lot easier. We'll leave a link up in the top of this video for that. But 40 foot of Dynaglide. In fact, it's more important to have 40 foot of Dynaglide than it is to have 40 foot of rappel rope. Okay, and once you watch that video, you'll understand, because when you start walking out to break that rope free, it just makes it a whole lot easier, and you want that extra length, right? So, Dynaglide. Don't go out and buy paracord. You'll see people that are just getting into one sticking, and they're like, oh, my pull down rope, my you know, I just use paracord. Well, yeah, until you can't. You know, you can use it until you can't. And what I mean by that, there's going to come a time when that paracord stretches so bad, you're going to get on a tree that's like cherry bark, real, you know, rugged, rough, deep, thick bark, right? And your rappel rope's going to stick on it, or your rappel rope's sitting in a fork of a tree or whatever, and it's just stuck on some bark or in a fork or whatever, and you're going to get super frustrated trying to pull that rope out of the tree with paracord. Trust me, I've seen dozens of people just about lose it on the boards trying to, and they're like ready to give the whole concept up. I'm like, no, just throw the paracord away. This is I don't know what it is. It's the whole setup probably didn't cost 10, 15 bucks. I don't know. By Dynaglide, it is almost zero stretch. Almost zero stretch. It's rated for 850 pounds minimum break strength. You're not going to break it, right? And then the last reason we use it is that when you get it, it's got a really nice, almost like a Teflon coat on it, which is super important as you're bringing, you know, if you use some other methods out there, you're going to catch it, you know, especially if you're pulling your rope out of a multi-limbed tree, right? And I show how to do that in that video. It's going to be prone to catching on bark and limbs and twigs and getting stuck and everything. This stuff just glides over, literally it just glides over limbs. It's so slick. It's really nice. Okay, so that's why we use Dynaglide, not paracord or something else. And then the mini carabiner. This one is made by a company called Exotica. You used to could be able to buy it on Amazon. Amazon has quit carrying it now for whatever reason. I did locate another source, and I'm going to provide that link down below. It does not have to be a Exotica. If you find some other mini carabiner that you like, that you want to use, go for it, right? The reason we use Exotica is this one is rated for 5 kilonewtons of force that you can apply to it, right? That equates out, if you're trying to figure it out, to a minimum braking strength of 1,124 pounds. So you got 850 pounds of braking strength that you can apply with this Dynaglide before it breaks. 1,124 with this little mini carabiner right here. So I can you know, especially if you watch that video and you see that, you know, a lot of times I'll wrap it around my one stick. Just, you know, if I have to, I'll get aggressive with it. You know, I want my rope out now. I'm ready to go back at the end of the night and, you know, get in the car and turn the heat on or whatever, right? I don't want to worry about this collapsing or folding or crimpling or whatever. You know, a lot of guys will try to do this, and let's see if I can find it for you. I thought I had it laying behind me, but I hung it back up. So a lot of guys will use this. You can buy this carabiner. It looks very similar, right? This is a 97-cent carabiner from Walmart in the camping section. If it's not 97 cents, it might be $1.97, okay? But here's the deal. Right here on the side, stamped on it, is safe working load, 60 pounds, okay? The climbing industry, a lot of the climbing industry uses a 1/5 ratio for minimum braking strength. So 60 pounds, if you use a 1/5 ratio, that means minimum braking strength on here is 300 pounds. Compared to, with one of these, 1,124 pounds. And yes, I have extras of these because I know what you guys are due. When I post that link to this video, you guys are going to buy the store out. So I have already ordered a bunch of extra ones. I learned my lesson with the Madrock. But yeah, let's just say the industry, let's say they use 1/10. 1/10 as a ratio for 60 pounds. Well, now you're at 600 pounds minimum braking strength. Either one, 300, 600. 600 might hold up, okay? But 300, if it's 300 pounds minimum braking strength, I guarantee you I can put 300 pounds of pressure on a rope trying to break it free at different times. I'm not at the end of a hunt when I'm cold, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm ready to go home, whatever, and my carabiner breaks, so I'm trying to pull the rope out, I'd be ticked, okay? I'm not taking a chance. This is $13.99, I believe. $1.97, 97 cents, difference of $11, okay? We spend thousands of dollars in the course of a year, not counting our tags and our gas and everything else, and don't cheap out and buy a 97-cent carabiner, and then send me a PM saying, oh, my carabiner broke. Well, I told you. Okay, so that's our pull down equipment. I got other videos on that if you want to check it out. And then last big major piece of one sticking, you know, I personally, again, this is my gear list, right? We use a Madrock. Both my son and I use a Madrock. Do you have to use a Madrock? Nah, not at all. I've got a video, one sticking the details, right? I show how to use a $13 figure 8. Back it up with an auto block. I mean, it's safe as all get out. It's smooth, $13 figure 8, right? If you want to step it up a little bit, this is a Petzl Piranha. Got a really nice place to lock off your rope. Depending on how you configure and wind around these posts and different things, you control your rate of descent. This is about $20, $24, okay? I'm not saying you got to use a Madrock. I've never said that, right? But this is what we use. This is what we like. Why do I use it as opposed to another method? If you use one of these, I mean, you could lock it off at hunting height, but it gives you no adjustability, right? With this, I can use this as an ascender, A-S-C-E-N-D-E-R. I use it almost like you would a Kong Duck or a CT Rolling Lock or Ropeman 1. I use it on my way up, right? I just slide it up, it catches, I make my move, I slide it up, it catches, and when I get to hunting height, this is what I hunt off of. A lot of people ask me, do you hunt off a Madrock? Yeah, I do. It's what I hunt off of. I twist, I turn. I mean, my gosh, there's times that I'll be almost horizontal, right, doing something, you know. And so I trust this with my life, you know, literally. Do I back it up? No, I'm not telling you don't back it up. If you feel like you want to back it up, by all means back it up. Do it the proper way. Read the PI, package insert. You know, Madrock has some specific ways that they don't want you to use an auto block or a proof stick or something with this because it could mess it up. So do your research there. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about backing these up because I just don't feel the need. I'm going to do a video later on about how does a Madrock work. There is nothing mechanical in this. The only mechanical part in this is this spring that allows the spring to go back into place and get out of the way. Has nothing to do with holding you up and holding you in place. There's nothing mechanical about this, so I completely trust it. Get that question all the time. Am I telling you to not back yours up? No, I'm not. Okay? But we don't back our Madrock up, and I'm completely 100% comfortable with that. And then going back to hunting off of it, So I use it as an ascender. I hunt off of it, and when I get ready to rappel, I don't clip on my Dynaglide, throw it down, come down a little bit, grab my stick, and whee, I get to play Batman all over again, right? Every single night. So that's why I love this little Madrock. I can go up with it, I can hunt off of it, I can come down. It's a great little tool. Now, are there other things that do similar things to this? Yeah, there's a Mammoth 2.0, there's a Gree Plus, okay? I have a Gree Plus arriving at my house tomorrow. So watch for a future video. I've got about probably 400 climbs and rappels on this particular Madrock right here. No exaggeration. From the last 2 years I've been doing this and doing videos and demos and expos and hunts and everything else, right? I've got well over 100 hunts this last season on this. So I've got a lot of experience with the Madrock. I do not have any experience with the Gree Plus, but I'm about to. And I'm going to spend some time in a tree with the Gree Plus for a while. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a comparison video on how does a Madrock compare to a Gree Plus. What's the pros, what's the cons, what's the differences, which one do I like better. Maybe I'll box up all my Madrocks and sell them and switch all over to Gree Pluses. I kind of doubt it, but maybe. Who knows? So anyway, and then what carabiner do we use with it? I use a Petzl OK carabiner. I've got a ton of, I've probably got 10 of these over there hanging up on a pegboard. The reason why is I was one of the first guys in the industry, in the community, to start using a Kong duck, right? Remember when we talked about Opalux, and Opalux, it's really just beneficial. It's a great combination to use a Kong duck with it, right? Because the Roman one is out of spec with Opalux, even though there's guys that do it. Just like my son uses Restec to rappel with a Madrock, okay? Technically, by 1/10 of a millimeter, it's out of spec, right? So when I was using Opalux, I used Kong ducks all the time, and you need an oval carabiner to make the turn in a Kong duck. And if you're sitting there going, what the heck does that mean? What do you mean by making the turn? It's the same thing when you're clipped on here, and this is on your rappel rope, and you're wanting to connect to your bridge. Here's what I'm talking about. You clip on, and then this will make the turn all the way around and go upside down so that you can just lower that, put your bridge in, and you're pulling exactly straight. It's not cockeyed or wonky. If you had a pear-shaped carabiner, it would be like that, right? I can make the turn and be pulling directly straight. Okay, so a Petzl OK carabiner, which is oval. It doesn't have to be Petzl OK. I'm going to put a link for this one down below in the description. It could be anything, right? Any oval one. You could use other you could use a pear-shaped one. I don't like to get my carabiners cockeyed in it. This is the one I prefer. Again, talking about my gear list, right? If you use other things, that's perfectly fine. I've said it. In fact, I had a conversation last night on PM with a guy. We were talking about different things. Very cordial, very nice conversation. And, you know, we were just talking about different gear. And I'm like, you know, here's the one thing I've always said. You put 100 saddle hunters in a room, you're going to have 100 different ways of doing something, right? Especially when you take somebody like myself who hunts 100 times a year, 100 different sets in a tree for multiple years, dating back to 1990. We've got a system down, right? This is my system I'm showing you, okay? So again, a Petzl OK carabiner. How do you quiet down? A little bit of hockey tape on the back half. 20 cents worth of hockey tape. You don't need, I mean, I'll put a link to the hockey tape I use downstairs. They sell out a lot. So if this link is broken or doesn't work, I'll try to find you one before I post it. But I'll put a link for the hockey tape. But literally, put it in here. Once you make the turn, once you connect and you're hooked up, I could walk up to this microphone if I wanted. That's not going to make any noise. Trust me. I've pivoted. I've turned. I've done everything. That hockey tape quiets it down tremendously until I get ready to come down and take it off. Okay, and I could put hockey tape the rest of the way if I wanted to. I just don't feel any need to. I just put it on the back half. Okay, so that's everything. Minus, of course, obviously, if you're going to be one sticking, you need a one sticking stick. Okay, probably the main ingredient, if you will. We choose to run Ultimate One Sticks from Eastern Woods Outdoors. We've just been with this stick from the get-go. You know, we were using it when you had to buy it as separate parts and assemble it. Now Dano and Hunter and the gang over there will pre-build it for you. You can order it as just a factory assembled. You just order it the way you want. You tell them, you go through a checklist, click the buttons you want. We use a 12-inch stick. I get that question all the time. Okay. In fact, I'm going to have a video on that later this summer too. This video, this playlist, the one sticking playlist, I guarantee you is going to be the most complete one sticking question and answer place that you could find on the internet, especially on YouTube. We're going to do a video on why exactly do I use a 12-inch stick versus a 15 versus an 18, whatever. Get that question all the time. Ours, I have 4 sticks that look just like this with all different tops down there. There's a flat scout. There's a you know, angled monarch. Everything. This is one of our very first original 1/6 that we started off with, and I'll put that there because I'm going to use that as an example here in a second. But right now, we've decided I love the UP. Okay. Originally, I was carrying in a stick with the angled monarch, and when I was carrying it in by hand, I actually preferred the angled monarch because it's a little bit lighter than the UP, right? I mean, it's, you know, not that it's going to kill you, the weight difference. It was just, you know, if you're walking a mile in and just carrying it by hand, bow in one hand, stick in the other, I preferred the angled monarch, right? About early in the season to halfway through, I started experimenting and playing with a tiny backpack that you know, I could put just a few things in, and I would strap my stick in the middle of the tiny backpack, and it would free up my hands, especially as I hunted more and more places that I was unfamiliar with. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, I needed my bow in one hand, and I needed my phone open after dark, looking at OnX with my headlamp and the phone on and everything. I needed that to navigate my way back to my truck, right? And so I was looking for a way to get this out of my hand, and the tiny backpack was the answer. And so when I moved to that, I also made the move to the UP, the Ultimate Platform Top, and it's a little bit more room. I really like it. So UP on a 12-inch Ultimate One Stick, we've paired it with the Ultimator, designed and created and marketed by John Richards, sold through Eastern Woods Outdoors, right? And then the Pack and Play, again, this one was custom made for me, but the Pack and Play is really nice, that holds the Ultimator. I have a 2-step Ultimator. I get that question a lot, do you use a 2 or 3? I actually have a 2-step Ultimator, and the reason why is, you know, I've got a video on that about the differences in aiders, right? I don't think a 3-step really benefits you a whole lot after your first move, other than the fact that it does make the step distance a lot closer, right? So I've got mine almost at a 19-20 inch step distance from step to step to step. It's almost 20 inches on mine, and you know, a lot of guys, I've seen a lot of guys go, oh my gosh, that's a huge step. You know, it's less than the distance from the floor to my knee, and in my mind, if you can't step up to your knee, you may need to work on your flexibility. But if you want a 10, 11, 12 inch step, go with a 3-step, right? So so that's our setup. Obviously, we've got the one sticking ropes, a full bury 3/8 inch, the cam cleat on it. You know, my buddy Scott Hesterly, who taught us how to one stick. If you go back to that video, one sticking so easy, a 13-year-old can do it. You know, there's 3 rules of one sticking, right? You've got to use a cam cleat. You've got to use a multi-step aider, right? And then the third one is you've got to rappel down. Trying to come back down a nylon aider in the dark or whatever and work your way down without rappelling. I mean, plus you're missing out on the fun part of it, right? So, and then let me talk about this. Why do we use the Pack and Play in conjunction with the Ultimator and the UP? All my other sticks have the sewn aiders offered through Eastern Woods Outdoors, right? But if you'll notice, because you can have a standoff here and a standoff here, it's really easy to wrap that sewn aider around these standoffs and then just wrap your rope around it, right? So that's how all of our other 3 sticks look like, and you know, it works perfectly. With the UP, there is no standoff, okay? There's one down here, but it's an integrated standoff with the UP. It's a lot harder if I was going to try to wrap this around It just doesn't, I mean, it will, but it's a whole lot easier just to grab a step, grab another step, and what I do is when I'm in a tree, I just fold this in, fold that in, and then roll that up and hook it up. Super simple, just a very nice clean look. I really, do you need a pack and play with the other systems? Probably not. If you have a UP on top, I think the pack and plays are, whether you're using the Ultimator or a Sonator, I think the pack and plays are a really good option. Okay, so and then last thing, guys, in one sticking, this is a TX5 Quick-draw Hanger, right? I've made the comment on several posts that this is almost my favorite piece of gear. I mean, I think they cost $6. They might be, I don't know, $10. I haven't been on TX5 Custom Gear's website in a while because, frankly, we've already bought all our stuff and we're done. Okay, we don't have to go shopping anymore. But I've got one of these on every single stick I own that we use. Okay, you'll see one on there. I don't know. I haven't used. I think I had to rob the one off. Nope, it's there. See. Every single stick we own has one of these on it, and then every saddle that we own has it. So how do you use this? When you get ready to come down, I roll this all up. Obviously the aider would be rolled up, but then I take this and clip it onto my saddle. My hands are free to rappel down. So guys, I hope that helps. That's everything we use one sticking. Hopefully that was a detail. Probably some of you guys are going, God, that was too detailed. Trust me, I get so many questions about this. I wanted to take my time and go through it, right? If you like this video, if you like learning about one sticking, please hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications, because I literally have 11 more one sticking videos coming out to add to this playlist. In addition to everything that's going on, we're going to cover, in fact, one of my next videos is going to be a complete climb from ground up. How do you attach the tree? How do you do this? I want to see it from your point of view. We're going to have camera angle after camera angle. I'm going to wear a GoPro. We're going to film it multiple times. We're going to merge all that footage together in one video so that it leaves no stone unturned. If you're wondering, what does a climb look like? What does a rappel look like? How do you go around limbs? We're going to do all of that. So stick with us, hit the bell, and we'll see. I'm going to link right now to the playlist, not a video, the playlist. Okay, it's right here, and we're going to just keep adding to it. You'll have all your questions about one sticking answered when this series is done. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.